Hello friends, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to talk about a book that changed everything for me, and it's going to change everything for you too. How to Be Disciplined by Sheldon Howe. But before we dive in, I need you to do something right now. Subscribe to this channel. Because what I'm about to share isn't just another book summary. This is a complete life transformation system, and if you're serious about finally becoming disciplined, you need to commit to this journey. Hit subscribe. Drop a comment telling me your biggest struggle with discipline. And let's begin. It was a cold winter evening. Riddick, who lived alone in a small flat in Delhi, was frustrated with his life. His job was just okay, but inside, he felt like he wasn't doing anything significant with his life. He often wondered what he really wanted. One night, while lying in bed scrolling through his phone, he came across a book review. The book was called How to Be Disciplined, and the author was Sheldon Howe. What a useless topic, he said to himself. But somewhere deep inside, he felt that maybe this was exactly the book he needed. He immediately ordered the book online. 3 days later, the book was in his hands. Riddick thought, let me just see why this book is so popular. He took the book and went to his balcony. The cold wind was blowing, and a cup of tea sat on his table. He opened the book and started reading the first chapter. The first chapter was titled Set Clear Goals. As Riddick read, he felt like someone was holding up a mirror to him. It said, establishing clear and achievable goals is fundamental to discipline. Goals provide direction and motivation, making it easier to stay focused and measure progress. Riddick couldn't understand why this simple thing had never occurred to him before. He often dreamed big dreams. One day I'll start my own company, or I'll become an expert in digital marketing. But he had never planned his goals in detail. He looked at the next paragraph. It said, if you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. This one line shook him. That's right, he thought. I always think I need to do something, but I never know what exactly. He closed the book and got up from the balcony and went inside. He chose the quietest corner of his room and sat down with his notebook. He thought that for the first time in his life, he would set some clear goals. The first line he wrote, 1. I need to focus on my fitness. I will lose 10 kilos in the next 6 months. 2. I will complete 3 advanced courses in digital marketing. 3. I will read 5 new books every month. After writing, he closed the notebook and felt a strange sense of relief. Doing all this wasn't going to be easy, but for the first time, he had written his goals so clearly. The next day when he woke up, he tried to start his first goal. He had set his alarm for 6 a.m., but when the alarm rang, he immediately hit the snooze button. Just 5 more minutes, he told himself. Those 5 minutes turned into an hour without him realizing it. When he opened his eyes, he looked at the wall clock. It was already 7:30. Man, it didn't work today either, he said angrily to himself. Then he remembered his book. He took out the book and read the first page again. There was a line, failure is a part of the process. Don't be discouraged by small setbacks. Focus on getting back on track. He smiled and said to himself, well, the book already explained this. No problem, I'll start properly tomorrow. That evening he did one more thing. He put up a big chart on his room wall and wrote his goals on it. Next to it, he made small boxes. Every time he completed a task, he would tick a box. Slowly, over the next few days, he started developing the habit of waking up early in the morning. He went jogging in the park for the first time. Seeing the cold wind and people running in the park, he felt that he had to take his life seriously. Coming back, he read the next part of the book. It said, break your goals into smaller manageable steps. A big goal can feel overwhelming. He thought about it. He divided his fitness goal into small tasks. First week, I'll jog for just 15 minutes. Second week, 20 minutes. Then gradually 30 minutes. The first chapter of the book had become like a guide for his life. He read it every time and tried to apply it to his life. But life isn't that easy. One day his mother called. She said, why haven't you called in the last 2 weeks? We're so worried here. Riddick suddenly realized that he had become so lost in his goals that he had stopped talking to his family. He immediately called his mother back and listened to her carefully. He thought that maybe setting clear goals doesn't just mean career and fitness, but also balancing relationships. He took out his notebook and wrote another line. 4. Call my parents every week and spend time with them. This is how Riddick's life slowly started changing. Every night before sleeping, he reviewed his day. If he had missed any task, he would add it to the next day's list. The first chapter of the book had taught him that goals are not just for writing, they have to be lived. Now let me ask you something. What's one goal you've been putting off? Write it in the comments. Make it specific. Make it real. And if you're serious about achieving it, subscribe to this channel because I'm releasing a complete series on goal setting and achievement. You're going to need it. He learned that goals had brought direction to his life. But the story doesn't end here. Riddick understood that this was just the beginning. Sheldon Howe's book's first chapter was just a glimpse. He had to read the remaining chapters and work on them. He smiled to himself and said, "Now let's see how this book changes my life." Riddick had done quite well on his initial goals over the next few days. He felt that his life was slowly getting back on track. Many boxes on his wall chart were already ticked, and each tick gave him new energy. He thought that now was the time to read the next chapter of the book. After dinner, he sat in the small corner of his flat. The book was kept in front of him. He removed the cloth bookmark and turned the next page. The second lesson was develop a routine. As soon as he read it, he felt that this was exactly what had always been his biggest weakness. His life was so chaotic that nothing ever happened according to plan. Sometimes he stayed up late at night, sometimes he woke up late in the morning. Weekends would pass by completely aimlessly. The book said, creating a consistent daily routine helps in building habits that reinforce discipline. A structured schedule minimizes distractions and promotes productivity by allocating specific times for tasks. Riddick read every word of the book carefully. He realized that if he really wanted to bring discipline into his life, he would have to adopt a strict routine. He said to himself, creating a routine doesn't mean life will become boring. It means I'll learn to use my time properly. He immediately picked up his notebook and wrote my perfect routine. 1. Wake up at 6 a.m. 2. 6:15 to 7 a.m. exercise. 3. Breakfast by 7:30. 4. Work time from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. 5. 1 hour lunch break. 6. Work again from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. 7. 1 hour in the evening for myself, for studying, learning skills, or reflection. 8. Sleep by 10 p.m. at night. Planning the routine was easy, but following it was the real challenge. Riddick knew this was the hardest part. He thought, let me try from tomorrow. The next morning when his alarm rang at 6 a.m., he felt the same way as the first day. He hit the snooze button again for a while. But then he remembered that he couldn't go back to his old habits now. He quickly turned off the alarm and got out of bed. Here's what most people don't understand about routines. They think routine means restriction. But it's actually the opposite. A routine gives you freedom. Freedom from decision fatigue. Freedom from wasting time wondering what to do next. Freedom from the chaos that drains your energy every single day. Comment below right now. What's one part of your daily routine that's completely out of control? Be honest. And subscribe because next week I'm releasing the ultimate guide to building a routine that actually sticks. He set a timer on his phone and started exercising according to his routine. Initially, it was very difficult for his body to get up. Every minute he felt like going back to sleep. But he remembered that part of the book where it said, habits are hard to build initially, but consistency makes them easier over time. The first few days were very struggling for him. Sometimes he would sit at breakfast time thinking whether creating a routine was the right decision. But as the days passed, he started enjoying the routine. The best effect of the routine was on his productivity. Now when he sat down for his work, his entire focus was on work. He knew that he had already allocated a time slot for every task, so he would have time to do everything properly. One day at the office, his manager said to him, "Riddick, the amount of work you've done in the last week, perhaps no one has ever done. Are you okay?" Riddick smiled and said, "Sir, I'm just getting more disciplined." In the evening when he returned home, he realized that routine is not just a way to manage time, it's also a means to make life better. He started reading new books in his free time. Every night before sleeping, he would review his daily routine. But life wasn't that straightforward. One Sunday, his friend Rahul called. "Bro, are you coming to watch a movie today?" Riddick was a bit confused. Going to the movie meant that his evening study time would be missed. But then he thought, routine doesn't mean I should stop enjoying my life. Sometimes taking a break is also necessary. He learned something new from himself. Routine doesn't mean strict rules, it means balance. Over the next few days, he made his routine more flexible. He also added free time slots to his schedule. This was the time when he could do anything, talk to family, hang out with friends, or just relax. There was another interesting line in the book: "A rigid routine can sometimes feel like a burden. Allow some flexibility to accommodate unexpected events." He felt that routine had made him a better person. There was now a structure in his life. Where he used to delay every task until the last minute, now he completed his tasks on time. But you know what the real game changer was? He stopped feeling guilty about saying no. Because now when someone asked for his time, he could honestly say, "I have something scheduled then. Can we do it at this time instead?" People respected that. And the ones who didn't? Well, those weren't his people anyway. Write in the comments, what's the biggest excuse you make for not having a routine? Let's call it out together. And make sure you're subscribed because I'm creating weekly accountability check-ins for building discipline. You don't want to miss that. But the story doesn't end here. Riddick realized that creating a routine started his journey, but he still had to take his habits to a deeper level. There were more lessons left in the book. He promised himself that he would read every lesson, understand it, and apply it to his life. And with this hope, he gently closed the book to move on to the next chapter. A few weeks had passed, and Riddick was starting to feel quite comfortable with his routine. Waking up early in the morning, working out, and spending the day productively had now become part of his habit. But life doesn't always move on smooth paths. One day after office, he came home tired and thought he should rest a bit. He turned on the TV and unknowingly wasted 3 hours watching a series. When he looked at his chart on the wall at night, he felt embarrassed. He said to himself, "Man, everything was going so well, and today I'm back to my old habits again." That same night, he took out the book and reached the next chapter. The third lesson was titled "Embrace Self-Control." The first line of the book shook him to the core. It said, "Self-control is essential to resist temptation. Resisting short-term pleasures in favor of long-term goals is the foundation of disciplined living." Riddick said to himself, "This is exactly my biggest problem. I always run after short-term pleasure, whether it's scrolling through social media for hours or doing anything that goes against my bigger goals." There was another interesting thing written in the book: distractions are everywhere, and they often disguise themselves as harmless breaks. But every small temptation adds up to derail your progress. Riddick decided from the very next day to bring self-control within himself. He first identified his biggest distraction: his mobile phone. He deleted all unnecessary apps from his phone and set screen time limits. He decided that he would check social media only once a day, and that too only for 15 minutes. The first day of doing this was very difficult for him. Many times he felt like picking up his phone and checking notifications. But every time he remembered the book's line, every time you resist a temptation, you take one step closer to becoming the person you want to be. Let me tell you something that nobody talks about. Self-control isn't willpower. Willpower runs out. Self-control is about removing temptation from your environment. It's about making the right choice the easy choice. You can't resist cookies if they're sitting on your kitchen counter. You can't avoid social media if the apps are one tap away on your phone. Comment below, what's your biggest temptation that's killing your productivity? Be brutally honest. And subscribe because I'm releasing a video on the neuroscience of self-control and how to hack your environment for success. A few days later, another challenge came before him. Saturday evening, his friends called him to invite him to a party. He knew that if he went, the whole night would be spent at the party and there would be no chance of waking up the next morning and working out. He asked himself a question: should I go or should I focus on my long-term goals? Another line from the book came to his mind: every time you resist a desire, you come one step closer to becoming the person you want to be. Riddick finally decided not to go to the party. He apologized to his friends and explained that he was working on his life at this time. Although it wasn't easy for him, somewhere in his mind he also felt that maybe friends would now call him boring. But the next morning when he woke up on time and followed his routine, he felt proud of this victory. One day when he was reading the book in the evening, he saw written in it, "Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most." He felt that self-control is necessary not only in big things but also in small habits. He decided that he would apply it to every small aspect of his life. For example, when he had developed the habit of eating sweets after lunch at the office, he decided to give it up. The first time he saw his favorite gulab jamun and said to himself, "No, this is against my fitness goal," he felt how difficult but necessary self-control is. The book further said, the key to mastering self-control is to remind yourself of your bigger goals whenever a temptation arises. Riddick fitted this advice into his mind. He started keeping everything in front of him that reminded him of his bigger goals. His notebook, the chart on the wall, and his own journey, all this became his motivation. Gradually, his power to control desires started increasing. Now whenever he saw any distraction, he asked himself one question: will this take me closer to my bigger goals or farther? A few weeks later, another challenge came at his office. The company gave a new project in which he had to work late at night. Earlier, he always looked for excuses in such situations to avoid the project. But now he had learned to manage his time with self-control. He changed his routine a bit so that along with the project, his other habits also remained intact. Riddick realized that self-control is necessary not only to ignore distractions but also to handle yourself better in difficult circumstances. This lesson of the book had opened another door of his life. He felt that those who learn to control their small desires are the ones who achieve big things. And in this way, Riddick decided to take his journey further. He said to himself, "This is just the beginning. I can't wait to see how much more this book will teach me." And here's the truth nobody tells you about self-control. It gets easier. Not because temptations disappear, but because you become stronger. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're building a muscle. And that muscle gets stronger with every rep. Write in the comments right now, "I choose my future over temporary pleasure." Make that commitment public. And subscribe because I'm building a community of people who are serious about transformation, not just motivation. The next evening, he gently closed the book to move on to the next chapter. Riddick's life was slowly changing. With the lessons of routine and self-control, he had made it part of his life. Every day there was new energy and motivation within him. But still, there was something that was bothering him. Many times when he was working, his mind would start wandering. He would be engaged in one task and then suddenly a memory of an old moment would come, or worries about the future would start spinning in his mind. Sometimes he would think, what will happen if the plans don't work? Or sometimes he felt that he was wasting time thinking about his old mistakes. One day when he was sitting in the balcony of his flat in the evening, he said to himself, "I have worked quite a bit on discipline and self-control, but why does my attention keep wandering?" He felt that perhaps this was the right time to learn the next lesson. He took out the book and reached the next chapter. The fourth lesson was titled Practice Mindfulness. The book said, mindfulness enhances focus and reduces anxiety. By being present in the moment, individuals can better manage their thoughts and emotions, leading to improved decision-making and productivity. Riddick started reading this lesson and felt that this could be the answer to his life's biggest problem. He thought, I often either live in the past or get lost in worries about the future, but perhaps I fail to live in the present moment. There was another line in the book that caught his attention: the mind is like a monkey, always jumping from one thought to another. Mindfulness helps you tame this monkey and bring it to the present moment. Riddick immediately decided to apply this lesson to his life. The next morning, when he finished his workout, he started a new practice. He looked on the internet at how mindfulness meditation is done. He chose a quiet place in his balcony, closed his eyes, and started taking deep breaths. For the first few minutes, his mind kept running in every direction. Sometimes worry about office work, sometimes memories of an old fight. But he said to himself, whatever thoughts come, let them come, but I will focus on my breath. Gradually, he felt that his thoughts were slowing down. As he took deeper breaths, his mind became calmer. For the first time, he felt that he could control his mind. And here's what changed everything for him. He realized that mindfulness wasn't about stopping thoughts. It was about noticing them without getting carried away by them. Like clouds passing in the sky. You see them, but you don't chase them. Drop a comment right now: today I choose presence over distraction. Say it. Mean it. And subscribe, because I'm releasing guided mindfulness practices specifically designed for people who think they're too busy to meditate. The book said, mindfulness is not about stopping thoughts. It's about observing them without any judgment and gently bringing your attention back to the present. He made this practice part of his daily routine. Every morning and before sleeping at night, he meditated for 10 minutes. Its effects started showing on his entire life. When he worked at the office, his focus was now better than before. If his attention wandered, he would take deep breaths for a few moments and prepare himself to focus back on work. One day, a big project came to the office. The team lead told everyone that this work would be very difficult and the deadline was tight too. Riddick's team members got worried. But he kept himself calm. He used his mindfulness practice. When the rest of the people were talking here and there in panic, Riddick quietly made a plan. He divided his part of the work into small parts and fixed a task for each day. Seeing his calm and organized approach, the team lead praised him. He remembered another line from the book: mindfulness not only helps you stay calm amidst pressure but also helps in clearing your thinking and making better decisions. Mindfulness also had an effect on his personal life. Earlier, when he was with friends, his attention was often somewhere else. But now he was completely present in every conversation. He realized that when you give your 100% attention to your close people, relationships also become stronger. One day he called his mother. When she was talking, he promised himself that he would listen to every word of hers carefully. Earlier, where he would just say yes, okay on the phone and end the conversation, now he responded to their words and tried to understand their feelings. The biggest effect of mindfulness was on his anxiety and stress. Earlier, he would get upset over small things. But now whenever he felt stress, he would take a deep breath and remind himself, I am in this moment. What is now is the truth. Everything else is just my mind's game. There was another line in the book that he wrote and put on the wall of his workspace: the present moment is the only place where life truly exists. Learn to live in it. Gradually, mindfulness became part of his life. He felt that this one practice had brought depth to his thinking, work, and relationships. Now he lived every day with open eyes and an open heart. Let me tell you what nobody prepares you for. When you start practicing mindfulness, you'll notice how chaotic your mind actually is. And that's scary at first. But it's also the beginning of freedom. Because you can't control what you're not aware of. Comment below, one thing I'll be mindful of today is. And make sure you're subscribed, because mindfulness isn't just one practice. It's a way of life, and I'm breaking down every aspect of it in upcoming videos. Riddick understood that mindfulness is not limited to meditation. It can be present in every moment when you're eating, working, or talking to someone. One evening when he was sitting in the balcony, he looked towards the sky. The sun was setting and the clouds had turned light orange. He felt that moment completely. Earlier, he would ignore these small things, but now he realized that these are the moments that make life beautiful. This lesson of the book had changed his thinking. He said to himself, if I learn to live every moment carefully, then perhaps every challenge of life will become easier. And with this promise, he closed the book for the next chapter. Riddick's life was slowly getting on track. With the help of mindfulness, self-control, and routine, he was feeling much more productive and calm than before. But life doesn't stay the same all the time. Sometimes, despite doing everything right, everything falls apart. And that's exactly what happened to Riddick. One day, the office gave him a big responsibility. This was his first big responsibility. He had done all the planning, paid attention to every small detail, had discussions with his team members, and was fully confident of finishing the work on time. But as the deadline approached, things started going wrong. Some people in the team started missing their deadlines, and Riddick's own work also started lagging behind. He felt pressure many times more than the effort he put in. On the day of the deadline, the project remained incomplete. His manager called him to his cabin and expressed displeasure. Riddick was very angry with himself. He thought, I worked so hard and still failed. Maybe I'm just not made for this work. That evening, he sat in the balcony. It felt as if all the hard work had gone to waste. He picked up the book and went to the next chapter. The fifth lesson was titled Learn from Failures. The very first line forced Riddick to think. Failure is not the end. It's a stepping stone to success. Discipline involves learning from setbacks rather than being discouraged by them. The book further said, every failure brings a lesson. It's up to you to find it and use it to grow stronger. Riddick closed the book for a moment and thought, can I learn from my failure? Is this really a chance to make myself better? Over the next few days, he carefully reviewed his project. He thought about what went wrong. He found that he hadn't paid attention to some small mistakes. For example, he had forgotten to do regular check-ins with the team, and many times he tried to handle the work himself instead of delegating it properly. The book said, failures often happen because of overlooked details. Reflect on your mistakes, not to blame yourself, but to improve. And here's the brutal truth about failure that nobody wants to hear. Failure isn't the problem. Your relationship with failure is. Most people fail once and decide they're failures. But disciplined people fail and ask, what can I learn? What can I improve? How can I use this? Write in the comments, my biggest failure taught me. Be real about it. And subscribe because I'm creating content on turning failures into fuel, not anchors. Riddick accepted his mistakes. He promised himself that next time he would prepare better. But at the same time, he reminded himself that failing at one project doesn't question his entire capability. To motivate himself, he repeated another line written in the book, failure is a detour, not a dead end. It's a chance to refine your strategy and come back stronger. The next week, another project came to the office. Riddick immediately started applying the things learned from his mistakes. He maintained better communication with the team and resolved every small problem right at the beginning. Gradually, he realized that instead of being afraid of failure, he should see it as a challenge. He felt that behind every failure there is a lesson hidden. Another incident gave him a chance to understand this lesson more deeply. He had been following his habit of waking up early for the past few weeks. But one day, due to staying up late at night, he failed to wake up in the morning. He thought, am I going back to my old habits again? Earlier, he would have cursed himself, but now he adopted the book's advice. He said to himself, this is just one day's matter. I can get back to my routine from tomorrow. The book said, discipline is not about being perfect every day. It's about bouncing back after setbacks. He made a full effort to wake up when the alarm rang the next day and got back to his routine. Riddick felt that the best way to deal with failure is to accept it, learn from it, and move forward. He added a new section to his chart, Lessons Learned. Every time he failed at something, he wrote there what he learned from that experience. A few weeks later, Riddick's manager called him. He said, Riddick, there has been tremendous improvement in your work. You learned a lot from that project you failed at, and that learning is visible in your every work. Riddick smiled. He felt that failure was making him stronger instead of breaking him. There was another thing written in the book: resilience is built through failures. The more you face setbacks, the stronger you become. This lesson had completely changed Riddick's thinking. Now whenever he failed at any work, instead of getting nervous or disappointed, he would ask himself, "What did I learn from this?" One day when he was sitting in his flat, he remembered his old friends. Those friends who sometimes teased him by calling him a loser when he failed at some work. But now he knew that failing is not weakness. He said to himself, "Failing is necessary. Without failing, I would never learn." That evening, he opened the book again. He knew that the next chapter would also have something special for him. But this time, before closing the book, he read the page one last time, which was reminding him again and again, failure is just another step on the path to success. Keep stepping forward. And he promised himself that he would embrace every failure and move forward by learning from it. Riddick had by now made the 5 lessons of the book a part of his life. Every new lesson made his thinking better. He had seen himself changing a lot. The man who used to blame himself for every small failure had now taught himself that falling is necessary, and getting up after falling is even more necessary. But his journey wasn't complete yet. The last chapter of the book had increased his curiosity. He opened the book again, and the title of the last chapter was, "Stay Consistent." And this was the word that meant the most in his life till now. He felt that all his efforts, whether it was setting goals, creating routines, adopting mindfulness, or learning from failures, all worked only when he remained consistent. The book said that one-time effort doesn't change anything. Real change comes when we take small steps every day and continue them continuously. Riddick thought that consistency had always been his biggest difficulty. Many times he would work hard one day and give up the next day. Many times he would make plans but couldn't follow them. He understood that perhaps this was the reason why many of his dreams remained incomplete. The book said, motivation gets you started, but consistency keeps you going. Even on days when you don't feel like it, showing up matters the most. Riddick took a deep breath. He understood that consistency is a habit, and to build it, he would have to work hard every day. He promised himself that he would now take a step every day, even if small, but definitely. The next day, he made his routine even stricter. Along with waking up early in the morning, he gave a new form to his day's planning and dedication. He decided that he would work on his fitness for 30 minutes every day, no matter how tired he was. He also made a timetable for his work so that he wouldn't miss any deadline. Initially, it wasn't easy. Many times it happened that after his morning alarm rang, he just lay in bed. Many times it happened that while getting ready for workout, he started getting excuses. But every time he reminded himself, consistency is the most important thing. If I give up today, it will become even more difficult tomorrow. Here's the secret about consistency that changes everything. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up. Even if you do 50% of what you planned, that's better than 0%. Even if you work out for 10 minutes instead of 30, that's still a win. Because consistency isn't about intensity. It's about frequency. Comment right now, I commit to showing up for myself every single day. Make it public. Make it real. And subscribe because I'm creating daily accountability content to help you stay consistent when motivation fades. Gradually, he felt that these small steps were taking him in a new direction. One day at the office, his manager gave him a big project. This was the same type of project at which he had failed a few months ago. But this time, instead of fear, there was confidence inside him. He said to himself, this time I will not only make my plan but also follow it consistently. Riddick started the work by dividing it into small parts. He held regular meetings with his team and took feedback on everyone's work. He made a timetable for himself and completed every task on time. Whenever his attention wandered or he felt tired, he would take a deep breath and say to himself, just one more step, just one more try. Gradually, his work started getting finished on time and without any major mistakes. His team members were also inspired by his consistency. On the day of the deadline, the project was completed, and his manager couldn't stop praising his hard work and leadership. Riddick realized that the effect of consistency was not limited to his work. It was visible in every aspect of him. He also continued to work on his fitness in the same way. Earlier, where he would only exercise for a few days and then quit, now he dedicated 30 minutes to himself every day. His body and mind both started feeling stronger and more energetic than before. Riddick saw that consistency not only affects big things but also small habits. He also decided that every night before sleeping, he would read a book, even if it was just one page. One day when he went to meet his old friends, they said, "You've changed a lot, Riddick. Earlier, you used to worry about every small thing, and now it seems like you know how to handle everything." Riddick smiled and said, "This change happened gradually. I just took a small step every day and maintained consistency." He told his friends about the lessons of the book. He said, "Consistency means that you fulfill a promise to yourself every day. It's not necessary that you're perfect every day, it's just necessary that you keep trying every day." That night when he returned home, he read the last page of the book. It said, "Discipline is not the goal, it's the journey. Keep going and you will find that success becomes a habit, not a destination." Riddick closed the book. He felt that his life had now changed. But he also understood that this journey will never end. Every day there will be a new challenge, a new lesson, and a new opportunity to make himself better. He kept the book on his table and looked outside the window. The moonlight was lighting up his room slightly. He took a deep breath and promised himself that he would never leave this journey. Because now he knew that real happiness is not in reaching any destination, but in living that journey with complete honesty and hard work. And here's where Riddick's story didn't end. This was just a new beginning. So friends, this was today's book summary. Let me know in the comments how you liked it. But before you go, I need you to make a decision right now. Are you going to be like most people who watch this video, feel inspired for 10 minutes, and then go back to their old habits? Or are you going to be one of the few who actually takes action? Here's your challenge. For the next 30 days, pick one lesson from this book. Just one. Set a clear goal. Build a routine around it. Practice self-control. Be mindful. Learn from your failures. And most importantly, stay consistent. Track your progress. Share it in the comments. Hold yourself accountable. And watch what happens when you finally commit to becoming disciplined. Subscribe to this channel right now because I'm building a complete discipline transformation system. Weekly videos on goal setting, habit building, mindfulness practices, and accountability check-ins. Like this video if it resonated with you. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And drop a comment answering this question: what's the first step you're taking today to become more disciplined? This isn't just another video you watch and forget. This is the beginning of a completely new you. One where you stop making excuses and start making progress. One where you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the creator of your life. One where you finally realize that discipline isn't restriction. It's freedom. Now go. Choose discipline. Choose consistency. Choose yourself. And don't stop until you become the person you know you're capable of being.